Hello everybody, this is Mr. DSI Review, and today I'm bringing you guys a review of The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. Spirit Tracks is the latest installment in the Legend of Zelda series, and it's a sequel to Phantom Hourglass and The Wind Waker, and it takes place about 100 years after Phantom Hourglass. The basic story is that an evil character named Cole wants to resurrect the Demon King Malladus. One thing that he needs to do this is he's going to need a body, and he tries to get that of Princess Zelda. He actually does, and Princess Zelda's ghost accompanies you throughout the game, much like characters like Navi or Midna did in other Zelda titles. In order to stop him, you have to restore the Spirit Tracks, which are disappearing, and also fix the Tower of Spirits, which has been split apart. Throughout the game, you'll be traveling throughout realms, to dungeons, and then to the Tower of Spirits. Every time you beat a dungeon, you'll head off to the Tower of Spirits, and then you'll go to another dungeon. The pattern's pretty simple, and it's pretty consistent as well, though there is some in-between stuff. One of the first things people notice about the game is that there's a train, and this is the main method of transportation from area to area. You are, however, limited to stay on the tracks, and can only get more tracks when you collect Force Gems by helping people out, completing sections of the Tower of Spirits, which earns you new railway maps, and also when you play Locomo songs with the Spirit Flute. The Spirit Flute is a feature that utilizes the microphone to play songs. It's a pretty cool idea, but it is somewhat frustrating because it can be very hard to get the timing correct. You're given a metronome, but that's really just about it. It would be nice if they made it a little more in the styles of a Guitar Hero or Rock Band, where you can see exactly at which moment you'll have to play the note and if you properly got it or not. The pattern you'll follow throughout the game is very straightforward and basically the same thing every time. You'll go through a chunk of the Tower of Spirits, you'll go and find a Locomo and play a Locomo song, then you'll go to a dungeon, and then you'll repeat several times until finally you've gotten to the end of the game. It's not too creative a pattern, but that's okay. The dungeons, for the most part, are very good, and they were well designed and have some interesting puzzles in them, as well as some that have been with the Legend of Zelda series for a very long time, for example, bombable walls. The items within the dungeons are also pretty unique and innovative. You've got classic items returning, like the bow and arrow and the boomerang, but there's also the pinwheel and the whip. A lot of these items will take advantage of one feature of the Nintendo DS system. For example, the pinwheel will require you to blow into the microphone, and the boomerang will require you to draw a path on the screen. In my opinion, the items aren't quite as innovative as those from Phantom Hourglass, but I think they're still very good, and I like the new ideas such as the pinwheel and the whip. As for the Tower of Spirits, it's a dungeon that you continually return to. In Phantom Hourglass, there was a dungeon called the Temple of the Ocean King. Every time you beat a dungeon, you'd go to the Temple of the Ocean King and go through it, and you'd be able to go a little deeper each time. Many players dislike this because it meant that they'd have to go through the Temple of the Ocean King from the very beginning every single time they return, and that could get very annoying, even though there were several shortcuts. Additionally, in the Temple of the Ocean King, there was a time limit. As for the Tower of Spirits, it's much longer, and the puzzles are much more challenging, but there's also no time limit, and you don't have to go through previous floors. In addition to this, in the Tower of Spirits, you can have Princess Zelda, in her ghost form, take control of phantoms, and she'll help you out. This makes for some very interesting puzzle ideas, and I say overall makes the Tower of Spirits very interesting, but it also, because of the puzzle ideas it adds, makes it quite challenging as well, which is nice, especially for much more experienced players. Besides the main quest, there are also several side quests in Spirit Tracks. The main ones are the Rabbit Land Rescue side quest, which requires you to hunt rabbits while you travel around the overworld. This can be kind of annoying because you have to leave an area and come back to find a rabbit again, and you have only 10 seconds to catch a rabbit, so if you mess up, this can be very frustrating. There's also 50 rabbits scattered around the overworld, and catching them is basically the same thing every single time. However, the rewards are definitely worthwhile. There's also a Stamp Stations side quest. Across the world, there are several stamp stations scattered, and early on you receive a stamp book. Once you collect enough stamps in this book, you'll receive rewards from Nico. These stamp stations are sometimes very easy to find and sometimes involve a puzzle, and I found finding them to be rather interesting and fun. I mentioned previously that one way to get more spirit tracks is by collecting force gems, which you get by helping people out. You can give characters rides in your train during the game. And while this can be somewhat boring and annoying, you do get force gems and often unlock cool new areas with puzzles or treasure. In addition to these side quests, there's the usual array of Legend of Zelda minigames where you can collect heart containers, treasure, items, or just lots of money. Compared to Phantom Hourglass, I think I'd have to say Phantom Hourglass is a little bit better. Spirit tracks improved on control from Phantom Hourglass, and they did make it so that you don't have to go through the entire Tower of Spirits on each visit. But being confined to the tracks is somewhat boring and also annoying because the game loves to throw bomb trains at you, which if they collide with you will instantly kill you and make you restart that part of the Spirit tracks. That's not to say Spirit Tracks is a bad game though. It's still very, very good, and overall is one of my favorite DS games. The graphics and music are phenomenal, especially the music. Gameplay improves on several issues from Phantom Hourglass, while still keeping it fairly innovative and a lot of fun. It's also pretty easy, which is great for newer players to the series, but the Tower of Spirits is challenging enough to keep more experienced players occupied and happy. Its replay value is questionable because when I 100% a Legend of Zelda game, generally I don't go back to it much. However, 100%ing it, as in getting all the side quests and whatnot, will take you a lot of time, though sometimes this isn't always a good thing. For example, the Rabbit Land Rescue side quest is very repetitive. Nonetheless, I still do recommend this game highly, and I also recommend checking out Phantom Hourglass as well, particularly if you liked Spirit Tracks. And so, hopefully you liked this review. It was my first Nintendo DS game review, and if you did, then please send this to your friends, or rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll be bringing you guys more reviews in the future.